Hello, good morning. Today, this is a new title of the essay. Today's title is The Myth of the Latin, not Lati only, Latin women. I just met a girl named Maria. Not this is Lati, this is Latin. N is missed, right? The myth of the Latin women. I just met a girl named Maria is all about the attitudes and the cultural belief of the American men to see the Latin women through their eyes. There is a misconception regarding the jobs and position of Latin women in the society, and this concept is to be changed individually by the women and the men rather than the legal reforms. Legal reforms cannot change these systems. There are thousands of Latinas without the privilege of education in the society. For those uneducated Latinas, life is a struggle against the misconceptions continued by the myth of the Latina as whore, domestic worker, criminal, kitchen. This is wrong. Little bit okay. Typing is wrong. This is kitchen, not chicken. Right? Kitchen worker. Please correct the spelling kitchen. KITCHEN. Kitchen worker, factory worker, and low job holder without skill. This is the concept that is what is found in the American society. We cannot change this misconception by legislating the way people look at others. The writer's personal goal in the public life is to try to replace the old pervasive stereotypes and myths about Latinas with a much more interesting set of realities. The writer's family lived in a large urban center in New Jersey during the 60s. Her father advised the writer to live in an American way because he was American Army Navy. But the mother advised to live in a Puerto Rican lifestyle because they were from Puerto Rican, and mother took her when the father was in his duty to Puerto Rico to meet with the grandmother of the writer. As a girl, she was kept under strict surveillance. The writer was educated, well skilled, poet, novelist, and she wanted to change the concept of the people about the Latin women. Once the writer went to the party, she was in Puerto Rican dress, and she felt inferior by the dress. She felt humiliated when she appeared at an American friend's party wearing a dress more suitable to a semi-formal than to a playroom birthday celebration. She remembers career day in her high school when the teacher told them to go being dressed as if for a job interview. It was uneasy for the writer, and she was agonized in front of her own closet. The writer knew how the Latinas were treated by the whites in the United States. They were shown in the TV and misinterpreted in the media. The Latin girls were sexually harassed even by their bosses. The employers often misinterpret their tight skirts, and they must have seemed hopeless and vulgar. It is a custom, but not the law, to identify them in a wrong way. The Latina women were and are called in the name of in the with the name Evita and Maria in a derogatory terms. The white men would not behave with the white women because they would think them that they are the wives of someone or the mother of someone, but mothers of someone, but they do not think to the Latin women. And white men do not behave the way they behave with the Latin women to the white women. Once the author and her friend were blocked on their way by a man who had his daughter with him. He was reciting the vulgar song, and the writer waited till he completed his recitation. At last his daughter asked to appreciate his song, but the writer told her to remind her father not to do such activities, and she dealt with him politely and arrived home. Her friend was surprised in her dealing with the man. She wanted to change that. The Latin women were not only domestic workers and waitresses and cooks. Once a woman took her as a foolish and asked her to make a cup of coffee. But when the woman found out that the writer as the poet reciting her poetry, then she felt her mistake in it. She gave a full attention to her, and the writer has never forgotten it. She might have forgotten, the woman might have forgotten it, but the writer has never forgotten it. The concept of Latinas with poor English and few skills got wronged. The Latin girls are supposed to be mature early. The portrayal of the Latin women is the cause of the denial of the opportunities for upward mobility among Latinas in the professions. The voice of the author is to change the myth made upon them as unskilled in English language works and the myth of becoming them only as domestic workers, whores, criminals, waitresses, and as the sexual objects of the males. Thus, the writer has drawn the real picture of the Latin women as the myth has developed and behaved them the way the myth has guided them. This essay is all about how women, Latin women, are behaved, mistreated, misbehaved, and then misunderstood, harassed, sexually harassed, even by the boss in the companies, and they are regarded as the name of Ibita, Maria, and they are waitresses, criminals, lure job holders, factory workers, and sexual objects. This is a wrong concept. What is understood by the white American in United States. That is what the writer has presented herself as a Latin woman, Latin girl, but she is a good in her poetry, novel, and writing. She is good in English. She has education. She's fluent even though when she was in the process of reciting the poetry in front of the mass, she used to feel nervous with the notebook and she felt almost nervous while reciting in front of the mass. But when she started reciting, she was confident. She became strong, powerful, and she wanted to change all the Latin women to be different from the myth, not to be the example of the myth, right? And this myth was not exact, true, and real one for Latin women. This is what the fact the writer has presented in her essay. For Sanskrit students, a little bit I want to talk in Nepali. यस एसेमा ल्याटिना वुमनलाई म्यारिया र इभिता भनेर हेरिएको नेम म्यारिया इभिता भनेर गरिन्छ। अमेरिकामा ल्याटिन वुमेनहरूलाई एउटा वेट्रेस मात्रै, होर प्रोस्टिट्युट मात्रै, अनि सामान्य इङ्ग्लिस नजान्ने, तल्लो लेभलमा काम गर्ने, एउटा सेक्सुअल अब्जेक्ट रूपमा काम गर्ने, तिनीहरू पोलाइट, नर्भस, किचनमा काम गर्ने कुकहरू, कुनै स्किल नभएका, हेर्ने बित्तिकै यी ल्याटिन वुमेनहरू, गर्लहरू चाहिँ चाँडै परिपक्व हुने, तिनीहरूलाई सेक्सुअल अब्जेक्टको रूपमा मात्रै युज गर्ने, मालिकहरूले काम गर्ने फ्याक्ट्रीमा पनि उनीहरूलाई चाहिँ अपराधी हुन्, वेट्रेसहरू हुन्, सेक्सुअल अब्जेक्ट्सहरू हुन्, यिनीहरूलाई सेक्सुअली हतोत्साहित गर्नुपर्छ, दुर्व्यवहार गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने सोच्ने र त्यो व्यवहार गर्ने, त्यसरी व्यवहार गर्दाखेरि उनीहरूलाई यदि मानेनन् भने जागिरबाट निकालिदिने काम गर्ने भन्ने एउटा पिक्चर ल्याएकी छिन् र उनले आफ्नै अनुभव सबै कहाँ कहाँ उनलाई कसरी व्यवहार गरियो सेताहरूले, व्हाइट अमेरिकनहरूले भन्ने कुरो उनले देखाएकी छिन्। उनी आफू लेखक, पढेकी, विद्वान, एकदम अङ्ग्रेजी राम्रो बोल्ने, कला भएकी, कविता लेख्ने, नोभल लेख्ने भएकी हुनाले उनलाई पनि त्यही हिसाबले हेरेको र एकपटक उनी बाटामा हिँडिराखे साथीसँग हिँडिराख्दा एउटा व्हाइट अमेरिकनले आफ्नै छोरीसँग आएर अश्लील गीत गाएर बाटो छेकेर उनलाई पनि सेक्सुअल अब्जेक्टकै रूपमा व्यवहार गरेको हुँदा उनले गीत गाएर सकिन्जेलसम्म उनी चुप्प लागेर पर्खिएर बसिन् र अन्तिममा उनकी छोरीले मेरो बाबालाई सम्मान गर्ने ताली बजाइदेऊ, खुसी भइदेऊ, हाँसिदेऊ उहाँको गीतप्रति भनेर त्यो छोरीले भन्दाखेरि राइटरले ती छोरीलाई तिम्रो बाबालाई यस्तो गीत गाउन नलाऊ, यस्तो आर्मी जस्तो हुन नलाऊ, यस्तो अश्लील हुन नलाऊ भनेर उल्टै सम्झाएकी र राम्रो व्यवहार गरेर त्यहाँबाट निस्केर उनी घर पुगेकी थिइन्। त्यसमा उनकी साथीले यस्तो राम्रो व्यवहार गरेको देख्दा उनी छक्क परेर उनले आफैलाई यस्तो राम्रो व्यवहार कसरी गर्न सक्यो भनेर सोद्धाखेरि रिस उठ्या थियो राइटरलाई पनि, उनलाई पनि गाली गर्न मन लाग्थ्यो, तर गाली गरेर रिसाएर त्यसको समाधान थिएन र उनले राम्ररी व्यवहार गरिन्। यसरी यसलाई चेन्ज गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने उनले कुरो ल्याएकी छिन्। एउटी वुमनले उनलाई कफी बनाइदिनु भनेर एउटा मूर्ख जस्तो ठानेर मलाई 1 ग्लास कफी बनाएर ल्याइदेऊ भनेर भनेको र उनलाई नचिनेको ल्याटिन वुमनको रूपमा उनलाई सामान्य तल्लो दर्जाकी वुमनको रूपमा गर्लको रूपमा व्यवहार गरेको आफ्नै अनुभव सुनाउँछिन् र अनि भरे त्यही प्रोग्राममा उनले आफू कविता भन्न थालेपछि त्यो वुमन छक्क परेर यत्री लेखक रहेछिन्, राइटर रहेछिन्, कवि रहेछिन् अनि उपन्यासकार रहेछिन् र यिनलाई मैले यस्तो नराम्रो व्यवहार गरेँ भनेर उनले आफ्नो आँखामा आँखा जुदाएर हेर्न नसकेको आफैलाई सजाय दिएको उदाहरण पनि उनले ल्याउँछिन् र यसरी सबै थाउजन्ड्स अफ लेटिन वुमेनहरू चाहिँ होर्सहरू छन् भन्ने जुन टिभीमा देखाइन्छ, कार्टुन बनाएर देखाइन्छ, त्यसले पनि लेटिन अमेरिकनहरूलाई माथिल्लो आफ्नो पोस्टमा जान, प्रमोसन हुन, राम्रो दृष्टिकोण राख्न, पोजिटिभ दृष्टिकोण राख्न सधैँ असर पुगेको उनीहरूलाई चाहिँ अप्ठ्यारो भएको महसुस गरेको उनले चाहिँ आफ्नो अनुभवमा देखाउँछिन् र उनी अरूले गर्दा यस्तो भएको यो टिभीमा देखाएको कार्टुन बनाएको हुनाले यस्तो मिथ बन्यो, यो रङ कन्सेप्ट हो, यस्तो मिथलाई चेन्ज गर्नुपर्छ, यो मिथलाई एउटै इन्डिभिजुअलले कानुनमा चेन्ज गरेर नियम बनाएर चेन्ज हुँदैन, परिवर्तन गर्नका लागि आफै व्यक्तिगत रूपमा लाग्नुपर्छ, आफ्नो आइडेन्टिटी चेन्ज गर्नुपर्छ, पहिचानलाई परिवर्तन गर्नुपर्छ, राम्रो काम गर्नुपर्छ। हामी वेट्रेस मात्र होइनौँ, क्रिमिनल मात्र होइनौँ, होर्स मात्र होइनौँ, डोमेस्टिक वर्कर्स मात्र होइनौँ, किचनमा कुक मात्र होइनौँ, हामी फरक खालका वुमेन हौँ भनेर चिनाउनका लागि राइटरले जस्तै अगाडि बढ्नुपर्छ। अनिखेर मात्रै टोटल व्हाइट अमेरिकनहरूको सिस्टममा चेन्ज हुन्छ, बिलिफमा चेन्ज हुन्छ, थटमा चेन्ज हुन्छ। व्हाइट अमेरिकनहरूले व्हाइट अमेरिकन केटीहरूलाई वुमेनहरूलाई यो कसैकी श्रीमती हो, कसैकी आमा हो भनेर त्यस्तो व्यवहार गर्दै जस्तो व्यवहार यी लेटिना वुमेनहरूलाई गर्ने गरेका छन्। किन भन्दा लेटिना वुमेनहरू भनेकै एक किसिमको उनीहरूको ड्रेसले नै सेक्सुअल अब्जेक्टको रूपमा उनीहरू आफू फोहोर भएर प्रोस्टिट्युट भएर आफू कमाएर बाँच्ने तल्लो जर्दाका वुमेनहरू हुन् भनेर सोचेको छ। यो नै रङ हो भनेर वास्तविक चित्र उनले ल्याएकी छिन् यस एसेमा। In fact, this essay has really attacked how white American people are behaving to the Latin American, how they misunderstand, misbehave, and then regard them as not real human beings, but as the sexual objects, as criminals, as waitresses, as whores, and just they are the skillless lower class job holders. This type of concept is wrong, and the writer herself has felt this sort of concept, experienced this sort of behaviors with the white, not only with the men, but even by the white women. And she thinks that it is because of hundreds of thousands of other Latin women the concept of myth has been made. This myth is to be changed. This myth is to be wiped out and brought a new concept, new thought, new ideas of mythless society in America. That would be better concept of bringing the change in the life. This is how she has captured the real concept of the Latin American women. Thank you.